Does it feel like sometimes you're just on a hamster wheel, right? Where every day is exactly the same. You get on the wheel, where you open your eyes to a new day, and the next thing you know, you just feel like you're going and going and going and going and going. And it's the same thing as yesterday and the same thing as the day before that, and each week feels like the same and each month can feel like the same, and unfortunately for some people it feels like year to year there's no changes. You are the same person, you're in the same circumstance, the same relationships you don't want to be in, the same friendships that you wish you had a better grasp on because you're not getting out of them what you wish. And it feels never ending, to the point where, just like a hamster on a hamster wheel, you just get so completely exhausted that you don't feel like you can kind of continue on the same exact way. And that's a lot of times what ends up happening to people, is that they just get in this routine, they get in this rut, and they just continue going and going and going to the point where they're just totally exhausted. They don't have the energy to make any changes, even if they wanted to. If it feels exhausting to them and they don't know how to start, well, I'm here to tell you that it does not have to be that way. Life does not have to be like a hamster wheel. As a matter of fact, we were not designed to live like this. We were designed to live an abundant life. We were designed to live with ultimate opportunities at our fingertips. So, what is stopping that from happening? Well, ultimately, it comes down to you. It comes down to you and how you feel about yourself, how you feel you should be valued in life, right? If you think about your relationships with people, a lot of times people will treat you the way that you feel valued. So if you aren't valuing yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you don't see yourself as someone that brings value to other people's lives, how are you going to expect other people to look at you any different than you see yourself, right? So it starts with you. When it comes to your job, or whatever it is that you're trying to pursue in life to create financial freedom for yourself, do you value yourself and see yourself just making minimum wage and that's all you deserve? Do you see yourself making $35,000 to $40,000 a year and feel like that's all you're worth? That's all you can bring to the table? Do you see yourself more than that? Right? It's If you really look at it, how you treat yourself and how you value yourself and how you see yourself in the mirror, life kind of will reflect that. So why not change that? Why look at yourself in a certain way? And why have you been doing that all along? Why have you been diminishing what you are truly valued at, the way God sees you as an abundant spirit, who He wants to provide for? Why would you stop yourself from a life that is possible? And unfortunately, a lot of times it comes down to the stories that we have told ourselves ever since we were younger, right? A lot of times it does come down to what we've been told and how we were treated and the expectations that were set for us when we were just kids. You'll never make it to this point. You're not good enough to be here. Your social status, our family is only meant to do this. You're not supposed to be a doctor. You're supposed to be this. And we believe those things. And sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes something traumatic has happened in our lives where maybe there was abuse, unfortunately, or a very traumatic circumstance that has stuck with us, and a story that has been told to us over and over and over again, that we just truly start believing, and that becomes who we believe as our value to be, or our perception of our value becomes whatever that story we tell ourselves that it is. So today, I urge you to really analyze your life and think about how you value yourself. Do you love yourself? Do you see yourself as someone that is deserving of a greater life? Do you see yourself as someone who's deserving of success? Do you see yourself as someone that is deserving of financial freedom? Do you see yourself as someone that doesn't have to always absorb all the stress and everything that everybody brings to the table in your life, right? You may be a really good person, but people are constantly taking, 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 to the point where it feels like you feel like you got nothing left. And you put yourself in a position where you're trying to always please others, but it's never reciprocated because that's kind of the value you see, or that's the role that you feel like you are playing in your life, and it does not have to be that way at all. See, I used to be like that. I call myself a recovering people pleaser, where I still love pleasing people, but I will not do it at my own expense. If I see that it's taking away from who I am as a person, and it's exhausting me and taking away my ability to have the endurance I need to create. And what I mean create is to do these videos, do things that I feel like I'm called to do. Well, how am I supposed to better my life if the energy I'm around is taking all the freedom away from me? That doesn't make any sense. And that's not how we're designed. So, what I urge you to do is look at yourself in the mirror and start telling yourself positive things. I am worthy of an abundant life. I am deserving of an abundant life. I am in a state of mind where I love who I am, and people around me will love me for who I am. And if you truly think about the people that are around you and the things that they say, why are we allowing that to influence us? You are never going to be truly happy if you cannot be yourself. You are always going to have this identity crisis of trying to be somebody else just to please others, but you're never pleasing yourself. And that is not a recipe for the life that you are ever going to want. It's actually just going to continue to hold you back. So love yourself, because you absolutely are deserving of a life of abundance. I mean, that is exactly what God wanted us to have. And I it stinks that we have to think and feel this way. And I remember it completely. I remember exactly what it felt like to constantly be chasing everybody's, what I wanted them to see me as, and I was hoping that people would see my value. And I was constantly doing things for other people to try to get that back. And it never happened. And it's because I was applying so much friction to what was ultimately just going to be an organic thing if I could just be myself and just relax. And here's the thing: when you put your faith in God, you don't have to do this life alone. And and as much as people try to not buy into the fact that all they got to do is just let go and let God, take control of their day and be okay with that, we are constantly going to be fighting it and fighting it and fighting it. And that's where a lot of the friction comes in. And that's where a lot of times, most people are just so exhausted and so tired, and they don't even feel like doing life sometimes, and it's a shame. It's a really a shame that it's got to be that way. So about a year ago, I told myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of living like somebody else. I'm tired of trying to live up to everybody else's expectations. I'm tired of not knowing who exactly I am, because I feel like I know who I am. I just never get a chance to be that person, you know? And I said, no more, no more. Life got too difficult, and it got difficult when it should have been easy. Like, I didn't have a lot of things that were terribly going wrong. I was just making things a lot harder than they had to be, So I told myself, I'm like, no, not anymore. This is not going to be like this anymore. So I told God, I'm like, God, I give you full permission. Just take control. Just take control. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Every time I make decisions for myself, or I think I'm going down the right path, and maybe it's your purpose, and I say, no, 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 this is what I'm supposed to do. It never goes right anyway. I'm always making the wrong decisions. But ever since I told God, like, take control, I can't do this life on my own. I'm making the wrong decisions. Things changed. I was so much more relaxed. And what I mean by that is, like, even in situations where normally things that I would be concerned about or worry about going into a day, like how we were going to hit certain goals at work, and certain meetings I was going to have with employees, that I didn't know how to go into it because I was so nervous about it. I was so relaxed. It's almost like God put it on me to say, don't worry, man, I got you. I got you. Everything's going to be okay. I just need you to follow my breadcrumbs. I'm going to plant little things here and there. I'm going to plant little blessings here and there. And I'm going to plant situations for you to bless others with. I just need you to accept them. And sure enough, the crazy part is, as soon as I did that, life got easier. my days are not as hard as they used to be. And even, like I said, even the challenges, I go into these situations I was normally going to be like, oh, what am I going to do? And I'm just so relaxed. It's almost like I know that I don't have control of the situation anyway. But when I go into it, I'm just going to, whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen, you know? Like I do my due diligence and I'm proactive and I prepare for things. But I'm not going into it with these stories I'm telling myself, like, oh, this could go wrong and that's going to go wrong. And what if this happens? What if that, like, none of that. And even if when those, so here's the thing too, even when those thoughts come up, I catch them now. Like I'll see them. I'll see them rising, like a story of what could possibly go wrong. And I'll be like, oh, there it is. No, no, nope. There's no evidence to prove that I am telling myself could happen is going to happen. Could it happen? Sure. But why would I think about the negative instead of what could possibly go right? Right? We naturally, our default setting, our brain is trying to protect us constantly. That's why it tells us stories of things that can go wrong, because it doesn't want us to do anything that is going to be a dramatic change, because the way to stay safe in this life is to stay exactly where you are. Our brains kind of stop us from progressing. But what if it doesn't have to be that way? Just like I said, what if you can catch these thoughts? What if you can identify the facts and say, well, thanks for trying to protect me, brain, but God's in control, right? It's all good. We're good. I'm not worried about it. Everything's going to be absolutely fine, right? And you go into it, and sure enough, every time I do that, things are absolutely fine, right? Even if it is a difficult discussion or a difficult task or something I find challenging, it may still be difficult and challenging on the outside, but the way I feel about it, I'm super relaxed. And I'm just thinking, okay, I have the clarity to execute it properly because I'm not worried about all the things that can go wrong. So think about this. When you have these things come up in your mind, right? These stories of what could possibly happen. Oh my gosh, all these things that can go wrong. All it does is take away your brain capacity of actually doing the task in front of you, and it makes it harder because now you have the anxiety and the stress, and hormones are going crazy and different levels of hormones are reacting, and it's just making it so much more challenging than it actually has to be, that you could just go into it so much more clarity. And that clarity helps as well, because now you're not thinking about all those things. Now you can actually focus on what you need to do and have the right mindset to do it. And that's part of what makes it easy, is the fact that I have clarity. Like I can actually sit down, relax, and be like, okay, what's this first step? What do I need to do? Or I go into a meeting with somebody and I just sit down, relax, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? What do we need to do? Instead of, oh my gosh, all this and all that and this, and we got to get this up and that. Like I'm just adding more friction. And my attitude with that kind of stress is probably energy that I'm shifting over to somebody else and making it much harder on them. Well, what if my positivity and my energy and my relaxed state actually reflects back onto somebody else, and because I'm relaxed, they become relaxed, and everything goes a lot smoother, right? Can you see this trickle effect? Can you see the snowball effect of how just letting go of the things? I mean, if you don't have control over a situation, why are you trying to control it in the first place? If you don't have any say in what the outcome can be, why are you trying to figure out what that outcome is going to be and control it anyway? You are wasting your brain capacity, you are wasting your time, and you're making things a lot harder on yourself. And this could be with anything. It could be with friendships, it could be with financial situations, it could be at work, it could be with anything. Why are you trying to control things you have no control over anyway? You are adding so much friction and so making it so much harder on yourself. Just relax. And I know some of you are in difficult situations and you're like, well, look, if you knew my situation, you'd be in a completely different story and how you can do all this. Well, you're probably right, but you don't know my story and you don't know what I've been through, right? I've been through some very, very tough situations. And I look back and I'm thinking, if I just implemented this, implemented this thought process and actually have faith and trusted God in those situations, I know that the outcomes would have been a lot different. I know it for a fact. And within the last year, it's not like it's been a freaking picnic, you know? Like I said, you're going to have challenges. Just because I'm telling you to go through life with the idea of allowing, God to take control and manage your own thoughts and love who you are and value yourself, it does not mean that you're not going to have challenges. Matter of fact, these difficulties and these challenges, some of you might find that that might happen a little bit more. But it's also how are you going to take advantage of those situations, right? Life will throw curveballs at you. We can't stop that. But how you go into those challenges and those tests and those curveballs, if you go into it with a relaxed state of mind and you go into it knowing that, ultimately what is meant to happen is going to happen, but you need to be proactive and make sure that you are doing your due diligence in order for it to go in a certain direction, and knowing that God's got control of the outcome. I promise you, things are going to go a lot different, and it's, I wish, when you find something that really excites you, for some of you, if you find a new TV show, you got to tell your friends about it. Like, oh, you got to watch this, right? You got to see this movie. You got to see this show. You're very passionate about it because of the way it made you feel, right? And the experience that you had with it. Or I don't know, a new book, whatever it is for you. If it makes you feel a certain way and it makes you, passionate about something, you got to express it. You got to talk about it. That's how I feel about this. On a scale that you can't even imagine. I am blown away about how my life has changed by just putting this into practice and accepting myself for who I am and not caring what other people think, and just being in a state of mind that I know that everything is taken care of, and the things that are out of my control I can't control anyway, but God's got my back. I That's why I started doing these videos. I can't hold that. I don't want to hold that in. I got to let it out. I got to share it. It would be bad of me. It would be wrong of me to have realized this, and not express just how life-changing this can be for you. And I mean, look at the whole situation. Look what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to value yourself. I'm asking you to love yourself. I'm asking you not to care what other people think. And if those people that you care what they think still judge you, don't you think they might not be the right people in your life anyway? Right? But the people that are supposed to be in your life will love and accept you for who you are. Won't you want those people in? Like, this isn't outrageous stuff, I'm telling you. This is not stuff that's way out there. This is easily obtainable, and you can absolutely do it. And just by a simple shift in your mindset and a simple shift in your faith, you can absolutely dramatically change your life and have ultimate freedom. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Even when it comes to finances, you know, uh, I've changed my relationship with money. I used to judge people that had a lot of money. I used to look at money a lot differently. I used to say that, I don't need all that money. Why would I want all that money? Look what it does to people. That used to be me. All right. But it's not about the money. It's about looking at the situation and being, everybody's got their own story and their purpose. God wanted us to live a life of abundance. He did not want us to live a life in, poverty and in difficulty. That's not how he wanted this to be for us. So why wouldn't I want to take advantage of a life that I could just ask God to, you know, take over for me and take control, so I don't have to deal with all those burdens. I truly hope you guys are hearing the message, and I know this might not be coming across 100% perfect, and I'm okay with that. The words, how I feel, how I'm trying to express this to you, that's what's important to me. That if you can just leave this video with the idea that tomorrow, not, you know what, shame on me, with the idea that right now, Once you get off this video, you're going to look yourself in the mirror. You're going to tell yourself that you love yourself and you value yourself and you are absolutely worthy of an abundant life. That's huge, because that's the first step. What if you keep telling yourself that? And what if all these thoughts that creep into your mind of who you think that you are in a negative light, that you catch those negative thoughts and you reverse those? What's the opposite of you're not good enough? You are absolutely good enough. You are deserving. You are absolutely deserving of a fantastic, fantastic life. You deserve that job. You deserve that money. You deserve that relationship. You deserve that marriage. You deserve it. You absolutely do. There's no reason why you can't have those things. And the only reason why you don't feel like you deserve is because that's the story you've been telling yourself. Because something down the line, something happened where you were told something or you started believing something, and that's been your story this whole time. Well, I'm telling you, create a new story, create a new positive story, and your life will absolutely change for the better. All right. I thank you. I love you all. And